OCD, ADHD, and epilepsy. So the doctor loves me basically. I think he just tries to come up with something new every time. So each one of these affect me differently. You know, the OCD's been very bad at times. The ADHD medicine growing up, a lot of parents didn't want me around their kids' houses, you know, because they thought I'd be a disruption, I'd be a bad influence, all of the above. The epilepsy I only found out later on in life, and the autism, to be honest, I mean, I know I got diagnosed young with that, but I've always known that I've had autism. I think my mum knew very early on that I had it, and it was just fighting to get that diagnosis, which was a very hard process. I do a bit of YouTube as well, so I've been doing YouTube for 10 years, still haven't made it. I do acting, and I'll get onto that a bit later as well. Ambassador for the National Autism Society, and I also do something for charity every year. So first year I'd done a skydive. I thought, start big, right? Yeah, that was a good idea. I didn't like it. A lot of people go, oh, it changed my life, but for me, it changed my skin because now it's loose. Literally, if you go on my YouTube channel, my skin is like back here. And then that was for Make-A-Wish Foundation. The second year I'd done a abseil, that was for the Autism Society. The third year it was for pancreatic cancer, and this year it'll be doing a zip line up in Wales. So that'll be, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. But the third one I've done was a marathon, and I'm nowhere near in good shape. So that for me was like 4 hours of just, yeah, I'm coming, I'm gonna finish. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. I enjoy it because it gives you new experiences that you might never thought that you would do, and also you're helping other people at the same time. So I really like the idea of that. About primary school, it was me in primary school. I watched a lot of Recess, so you know, TJ was like the kind of guy that I just wanted to look like, really. So I'll be talking about relationship with peers, relationship with teachers, things that did help and things that didn't help. So relationship with peers, I always found it hard to make friends because I couldn't speak till I was 6 either, so I had to learn Macintosh, which was, you know, very difficult, and I can't really, all I remember is I think that's biscuit, that was cake, and I think that was the kind of go-to for me. For me, it really kind of taught how strong a mother's bond is, because I would literally go to my mum, or and my mum would know what I was on about, as my nan would be stood there going, what is he on about? She'd be like, I don't know. And then my mum would be like, what are you on about? He wants a biscuit, or you know, he wants to go to the toilet, or... So it was a very non-verbal relationship that I had with my mum, but somehow I understood what my mum was saying, but I couldn't elaborate that with my own voice, which was very difficult, clearly making up for it now. Yeah, they're telling me to shut up now, as before they were going, speak, and now it's like, shut up, no. So that was difficult, and I remember, you know, when I first went to primary school, you know, kids just didn't understand, because they didn't understand that someone is in that year who can't speak. You know why? They could understand if they were someone who just came over from another country, they could understand that there's going to be a language barrier, but for autism it was very, why can't he speak? Is he an idiot? Oh, is he, and I hate to say the words, I think it's horrible, but retarded, you know, is a very common playground phrase that is thrown out there. And again, it's odd because I could understand what they were saying, I just couldn't elaborate, and vocabulary wasn't quite there. Oh God, I would interrupt all their games, like game of football, I'd run in the middle of the pitch and pick up the ball and run with it, and everyone was having a go at me, and it was just a number of things, like it, you know, I couldn't even understand the concept of it, you know, I just thought, well, what, you're just running around hitting, you know, poking people. Yet when I poke people and they're standing still, they have a problem with it. Yeah, that's the kind of thinking I had. You know, personal space was another one. I was terrible with personal space. I'd always, you know, be very close all the time. I didn't really understand that people, you know, like their own space. That took me till secondary school to pick that up, really. relationship with teachers were hard, and I think it was harder for my mum because back then, I mean, you didn't have the Autism Act in at that point, you know, so going to a teacher and going, I think he's got autism, or I think he's got this. I mean, no word of a lie, a teacher turned around to my mum and said, he hasn't got that, he's just naughty. And that was a kind of end for it for them. And we saw many, many doctors, and it only took one to say, okay, no, I think he's got autism, and you know, that really helped my mum. And it's a shame because, again, at primary school, you want to feel like your child is protected, and you want to feel like your child is safe and is understood. And for me, anyway, I mean, there was probably only 3 teachers I can remember that really kind of I felt understood, and the rest just kind of didn't. And there was a PE teacher, and he knew I couldn't speak, so people would always say to my mum, well, we never know what kind of mood he's in, you know, but this PE teacher would simply know what mood I was in, because he'd go, right, Max, we're having one of these today or one of them. And it's just that simple solution that is, well, you can pick up his mood by just going like this or like that. And these teachers that had all these qualifications, you know, just couldn't grasp that, oh, how simple is that? There was one teacher at primary school who, she knew I was really anxious, so about year 5 I could talk, and I was, again, it was quite broken, kind of down sentences, but I could at least get words out. And this teacher knew I really was worried about things, and what she did was, she created my own desk for me, and she said, bring some pictures in that make you happy and stick them on the wall, and then she gave me this green box and she decorated it with some of the photos, and she said, anytime you have a bad worry, just write it down and pop it in the box, forget about it, and if you want, we can go back to it at the end of the day and talk about it, or we can just throw them in the bin if they're not a worry anymore. And what that taught me is how to prioritise my thoughts, because what I learned from it is something I was worried about in the morning, by break time I was no longer worried about, and when I looked at the end of the day I had totally forgotten it, like, oh, I was worried about that, I'm silly. And I was able to pick out what was really important and what wasn't. So she'd go, you still worried about that? No. No. You still worried about this? And I go, that's still a little bit. She'd go, okay, well. And it just taught me what's actually worth worrying about. So that's things that did help. There was one TA actually that took me aside, and she really focused on my reading, because there was nothing worse for me than standing up in a class, someone that could barely speak, who is quite behind already in that element of, okay, they could speak 3 years before I could speak, and now you're getting me up to stand in front of the class and we have to read sentences to each other. I hate that aspect. I just think it sets some people up for a bit of embarrassment if they're not at the level where their peers are. You know, the whole, okay, your line, okay, your line. I really don't like that method of learning, because again, if someone's not where the people in the class think they should be, then everyone will laugh and everyone will make you a target of being or stupid, and you're not. You just learn at different paces, just like people do in a job or people do in athletics. You know, some people are quicker than others and some people are slower. You know, I hate that concept, but that's one of the things that she saw that didn't help. So what she would do is she would sit with me in the class, she'd go over sentences with me as well to make sure that, you know, when my sentence came up I was 100% confident. If I didn't want to, that was fine. But what she'd do as well is she'd offer, okay, do you want to go just for 15 minutes before break and read a book? You know, and what she'd done is she made sure it was a book I enjoyed, because I remember in year 6 we were reading The Nonceman, and I just found it boring, to be honest. So what she'd done is she went out and got a book that I would really enjoy, that would really want me to read and want to know the end of. So she kind of used something I was really interested in and went, okay, well, you want to find out the end, right? Right, let's read it. And it got me really learning. Helped as well was a talent show. I'm rubbish at singing now, but back then I'd like to think I was alright. It makes me sleep at night more than anything. But just a little thing like that I feel can really bring someone out of their shell a bit. You know, like I went from the kid that hardly ever said anything all the way to someone that was on stage and really enjoying it, and then people would be like, oh, you're really good, or you're really good at this, and you know, it allowed me to kind of be myself, and people started to see this good person, or this person that's, oh, actually he's all right, instead of the perception that they might have been fed by other people. So, and I think that can come from other people, parents. I think sometimes parents don't understand. They're very quick to tell their kids. You know, I could never understand why I went around people's houses. I really couldn't understand. But at the same time, back then, I just thought it's my fault, it's wrong. And I think there could have been something else that they could have done, you know, to make it not predictable. It don't have to be me on my own, it doesn't have to be that quick, you know, let me go around with my mum and see how it goes, instead of just shutting the whole thing off completely. Yeah, so I think there's always a way around things. So that's the kind of things that didn't help, and what didn't help as well was in year 5, the teacher in year 5, the teacher gave me that green box, and in year 6, the teacher grabbed the box and said, you don't need that anymore, do you? And she threw it in the bin before I could even answer. And that was the kind of thing that didn't help, because she thought, well, you're old enough not to need that anymore. And it wasn't about being old enough, it was about how I coped with my anxiety, and that actually helped. So we move on to secondary school. So this is a photo of me in secondary school. I've lost the hat. So what was quite hard about secondary school is because I had an educational health and care plan, the government got to pick what school I went to, basically. And I wanted to go up to the school up the road because all my mates went to that school, and you know, it took me years to make mates already, so I don't want to spend another 6 years trying to make friends. Unfortunately, I had to go to a school in Reading, and it had an ASD unit in it, which at first I thought would be good, you know, because if it's got an autism spectrum unit in there, then they might, you know, be quite considerate to people with conditions. Relationship with peers, unfortunately, there virtually wasn't any. I had to pretend to be someone quite a lot that I really wasn't, just to make friends. You know, and that often, you know, kind of relies on being a naughty kid and doing things that you shouldn't be doing. And I take each school with a learning experience, because I kind of learned, you know, through that at the end of the day, people weren't really liking me. They was just liking this fake facade of someone that they were seeing. And I'd much prefer people to hate me for who I am, or like me for who I am, than like me for something I'm not. And that's kind of what I took from that. But a lot of people would encourage me to do things, and then that got me into more trouble with other people. To the point where, you know, there was probably 7 people threatening to beat me up if I went into the classroom. So then I stopped going to the classroom. I was continuously bullied for not going to the classroom, you know, because you're a wimp, or you know. And at the end of the day, I just didn't, you know. I always remember saying to them, it's probably one of my best quotes. I said, if it takes, like he said to me, you know, you're a wimp, you're whatever. And I said, if it takes 7 of you to beat me up, you know, I think we know the real wimp is, because, you know, I'm being honest, one person could beat me up, and you know, if you're needing 7, that's you're not really having any faith in your own ability, are you, really? So relationship with peers wasn't there. The only kind of relationship I did have with people actually was in the ASD unit. And I think it's because we could be, you know, ourselves, and there was no pressure. And that was really important, because we didn't judge each other. You know, you'd say something stupid and I'd laugh, and I wouldn't find it like a stupid comment. I would just find it funny because, well, it was my humour and it was probably everyone else's, and we just didn't care. You know, we knew that we all had our own kind of unique things about us. So those were really early relationships. The relationship with teachers, unfortunately for an ASD unit, you'd think a lot of people in the unit would understand, but sadly they didn't. There was no kind of concept of alertness of the other people and what was really going on in the class, you know, to think that there were 7 people that were threatening to beat me up, you know, and they didn't really ever pick up on that, or they didn't pick up on the bullying, or, I mean, I remember one day, they didn't know where I was, the TAs, and they were all going around, they rang my dad, they said, we don't know where he is. And my dad was driving down the motorway trying to find me. I was in my lesson. That's where I was. Because they didn't they didn't check the first port call of where I would be, they just assumed the worst and where I would be. And that's where I was in my lesson. And they rang my dad up and they said he's in his lesson. My dad went, what? I just drove down the hill. They didn't have a good communication with the main teachers in the classroom, which I think was a really big point, because they never really knew where you were. They only heard the bad, they never heard the good, and if you were doing bad or a little bit bad, they'd kick you out. They would have no kind of plan put in place for you. They wouldn't sit you down and talk to you about where it's going wrong or what can we do. I mean, you know, the fact that I was getting bullied by 7 people or whatever, they could have easily sat me down and said, okay, well, let's try and swap out your classes so you're avoiding these people, so you're not afraid to go in. And, you know, it's just simple, not cost-effective things, you know, just to switch someone around in a tutor or a classroom. It's not hard, but my kind of opinion on that unit was it was more about statistics. Because I've seen people that had conditions who struggled, and they would slowly be ushered out the door and be like, well, sorry, it's not working out. And the people that had conditions and behaved would stay. And that, you know, that didn't just happen to me, that happened to many people before and after. I'd say the only thing that did help at the school was they'd done a PGL trip, and I normally hate staying places, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was one of the best trips ever, but that was because it was with the ASD unit, you know, and it was with people that we could trust and people that we could feel like we could be ourselves. If they had done that with the main school, it would have worked, or a tutor group, because if anything, it probably would encourage bullying more and things like that. And the worst thing is when you mention bullying and the teacher just kind of ignores it, which happened to me. You know, she just kind of went, oh, I'm sure there ain't knocking about. It's because they're just not, I mean, the teachers at this school, I'm not talking about all teachers in general, because there aren't good ones. They just didn't really want to know, I felt. So things that helped, PGL trip, because it got me into editing, and I edited the PGL trip, and they kicked me out, that was nice. So thanks for editing. Well, but I don't know what's worse, the fact they got me to edit it and they kicked me out, or they invited me back to watch the edit once I left. I don't know what's worse, to be honest. I'm just sat there watching, oh yeah, I remember editing that. I'm trying to think, I'm trying to be fair. There was a quiet room there, that I think that's a nice idea, the idea of a quiet room at these units. You just go in and just kind of shut yourself away for 5 minutes and just take a breather and cool down. I think that really does help with the sensory overload and things are really going off in your head, and you've just not got any kind of rational, you know, thinking going on. And they also done a scheme which kind of got you out, you know, canoeing, forest schools, all that stuff. Now, I'll be honest, I hate all that stuff, but I think it's a really good idea, because I think some people are really just more physical with things rather than practical. And I think it's a really good idea. Things that didn't help, I'd say the lack of communication with the teachers and the TAs and the main teachers and the main school and the ASD unit. There was a really big lack of you know, unity there, really. No one really knew where they were going or what they were doing, what the progress is, what they wasn't. And if you wasn't measuring up to somebody that didn't have a condition, you know, the main teacher would pull you aside and say, you know, well, you're not doing quite as well as, you know, so-and-so. And they wouldn't really take the consideration of you having a disability on board, because, to be honest, I think half the time, the main teachers didn't even know you had a condition. I remember one lesson, I said that, oh, I've got autism. He was like, oh, do you? Like, I mean, an ASD unit. And so, you know, why don't you know that, you know? And that's kind of the lacking of that communication. So sadly that school did kick me out, and I think what was worse about that school was when I left, they said I'll be going to an autism school, and that kind of takes me on to my next school. So that's me in my second secondary school, bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? So relationship with peers, teachers, things that helped again, and things that didn't. So this school, I have to say, even though it wasn't an autism school, it was very varied. It
had a lot of people that had a lot of different conditions and different things that happened in their life. Some of them suffered with really bad trauma, some of them suffered with really anger, always angry, some was anxiety. They had some people that the autism affected more than others. It was just a range, and in my class I was in, there were 6 of us, and sadly not one of them, apart from one actually, had autism, but apart from that everyone else just had quite a lot of anger. Don't know what to call it, it's not an issue. I don't think anything's an issue, I don't think anything's a problem, I just think it's because I think the anger is the emotion or the behaviour, but they're not angry, they're not, I always say to people, people have always said, do you think people are naughty? And I go, no, they're not naughty, the behaviour is naughty, but there's a reason why they're doing it. And yeah, it is, and that's their way of getting it out. But I mean, in my class there'd be about 6 fights a day, teachers would punch, kids spat at, knives were brought in, minivans were nearly blown up, kids jumped out of top story windows, you name it. I saw it, I even took a punch for a teacher once because he, was, a lot of the teachers looked at me as a teacher as such. They used to have walkie-talkies, and if a fight ever broke out, they'd throw me the walkie-talkie, and I used to have to call for help because these guys sadly would keep going until something bad would happen. There's always one instance I always remember. It's a kid went to there was a because she positively handles strain at the school, which is something again I think is quite overused in schools. I don't overly agree with it, to be honest. I think the only time you should really use it is anyone's life is literally in danger, not just because somebody doesn't want to go into the classroom or wants to go out of it. If they want to go out, let them out. Don't hold them and force them. I don't really believe in that. But sadly, this teacher, he tried to leave, and the teacher said, you're not going. And the student grabbed him by the collar, threw him on the floor, hit it just kept hitting him. There was no other TA in the class, so I didn't have a walkie-talkie, so I had to run down, scream for help, and then, eventually he was all right. But yeah, if anything, I learned a lot from it, because I learned that actually it taught me to understand other people's conditions and how it affects them and how it affects people differently. It taught me to be more tolerant as well, and that actually an issue that you might have, someone else actually could have it 10 times worse. Because, the backgrounds, I've got a lovely family environment, and some of these guys didn't have that. Some of these guys were from London, they were in gangs, they would come into the school, and then two people from 2 different gangs would see each other, and there'd be a lot of talk about what was going to go on after, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it was very hostile. But it taught me actually, things about myself and actually how it affects other people. So relationship with peers, though, funny enough, after I say all that, a lot of the teachers were being picked on, not when I joined the school, because it was very bullying classroom, You know what people are like, half of it's not even true, but they will bite to it because they're angry, I've done this with your mum and whatnot, and I remember a kid actually saying to me one day, they said, oh yeah, I had sex with your mum last night. And I just laughed, and he went, why are you laughing? I just went, because I know my mum, and I know she can do that. And that was it, And he laughed as in to be like, why is he not? And I'm just like, what I learned there is sometimes you've got to kill people with a bit of kindness because they can't bite back, they're losing battle. You just be nice to them, they'll leave you alone. And that's actually what happened over a long time. Is people would try and try and try, but I wouldn't bite. I'd just let it be like, and that'd be it. And they just thought, we're not getting anywhere. So I think before long, they actually just respected the fact that I just was all right, and I weren't going to go out of my way to be horrible to them. And they thought, well, why should we go out of our way to be horrible to him? Relationship with teachers, I'll be honest, teachers were amazing there. It's the first school I've ever seen nearly every teacher understands, and there's only a rare few that don't. You know, normally it's the other way around. Normally there's a rare few that do, and there's a rare few that, you know, these teachers, as I say, would get punched, kicked every day, and they come in the next day, they forget about it with a smile on their face. And when you see that, it kind of makes you want to try, and you think, actually, you know, in a strange way, I could be there. You know, I could be getting hit every day, and I just admire their commitment, because it shows that they care. And it's not like these guys couldn't go up and get a job somewhere else. You know, these guys came in because they cared. And I think when you have a teacher that shows that they care, that they really are there for you, and they want to support you, and they're not just one of these teachers that say it and in a month they're gone. You know, when you see, actually, he got beat up yesterday really badly, and yet he's still in today. That shows, you know, that's the action speaks louder than words to me. Things that helped, I'd just say the overall support of the school. The education was okay. I'd say it wasn't at its best, you know, but that was because of the environment that we were in. You know, a lot of the time we couldn't learn, because a lot of the time the lessons would, you know, the lessons would get interrupted by someone or something happening, and then, you know, it would you know, come to a halt. But what the teachers, and what really helped nail down, was the teachers really understood not only the condition but how it affected the individual. And that's really key, because I always think you can understand the condition till you're blue in the face, but if you don't understand how it affects that person, you're just at a loss, you know. So, like they always say, you know, when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, and they really understood that. They knew that things for me would work, and they knew things for someone else in the class wouldn't. And I think that was really what made that school good. The only thing that didn't help at the school was the school didn't offer GCSEs. So I left school and I thought, great, KFC if I'm lucky, you know, that's best case scenario at this point. McDonald's, Burger King. And I was quite worried about the future, because I thought, well, no one's going to hire anyone with no GCSEs, you know, and I had functional skills and they were very minimal. Because my mum, even though she understands my condition, I feel that sometimes she's had to be tough to get me to where she knows I want to be. You know, she knows I want to do all this great stuff. That's great, Max, but at the same time, you're going to have to, you know, go and do this, something that you really might not want to do, but you're going to have to do it, otherwise you're not going to be able to do what you want to do. So I said, you know, you're going to have to take me. She goes, no, I'm not taking them. And I went, Mum, I'm not going to work there. My mum's going, well, don't then. So when the acting gig came up, it was up in handball. So I said, Mum, can you take me? And she went, no. If you want to do your acting gig, you're going to get the bus. So she used something again that I really wanted to do, because she knew work wouldn't be enough. But for my acting career, I would really want to do it. So literally, in all fairness to my mum, I got up that morning, I got changed, I was in a checkered shirt and chinos, and my mum said, I'll take you if you want. And I said, no mum, I said, you're right, I'm going to have to do it on my own. And I did. So, got on the bus, first thing that went wrong, I spilled Coke all down my trousers, so I looked like I wet myself. Then on the way to Lambourne, they said to me, you're going to have to get up at a monument, right? I passed 3 monuments on the way there. I had to then go stand right next to the bus driver and go, is that the monument? No, that's not the monument. Is that the monument? No, that's not the monument. Is that the No, I'll let you know when it's the monument. So, came to the last monument, and I wasn't going to get up. He was like, it's this one, it's the monument. And I went, all right. So I got off, and then the person that was picking me up from where I wasn't there. So I had to ring my mum, because I ain't got her number, because it's on my mum's phone. So my mum's rang the person, they've come down this, like, it's a bit like in between this car, to be honest. They've come down in one of them. Well, I can bear with this at the minute, so the day's not going great. Then I get there, and a guy comes up to me who's working for the show and goes, do you mind going topless? And I went, no, I'm not going topless. That's never going to happen. And he went, oh, I wanted to, you know, you get £20 extra. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
So, anyway, I get to the queue where you have to register in, and there's a guy in front of me, and they say, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Oh, my name's Max." And they went, "Oh, what, Max Green?" And he went, "No, what kind of name's that?" And I can hear him, right? So he's with like 7 of his mates, right? And I'm thinking, oh, I've got to go up and I'm going to have to say my name. So they're like, "What's your name?" I'm like, Max what? Max Green. He's like, "Oh, are you Max Green?" "Yes, I'm Max Green." "Oh my days." So that's that. And then, you think the day won't get worse. It does. I'm wearing checkered shirt and chinos, and this scene is meant to be a rave. So they come up to me and they go, "You look like you're dressed for like a formal party. Like, you're meant to be out of a rave." So they sit me in this tent, and I come out with a checkered shirt, with a Hawaii shirt on, with shorts, sunglasses, with like different shoes on. And they're like, "Oh, you know, you'll grab your stuff at the end." And I'm thinking, I look like a cop out of Hawaii 05. Like, I look ridiculous. So then people come up to me going, "Yeah, you look good." No, I don't. So that's that, right? So then
It's going to get worse.
And anyway, I'm stood there and I'm speaking to this 40-year-old guy, and I'm having a really good conversation with him. And at this point, I haven't looked at what he's wearing, or I haven't paid attention to anything. I'm just having a really good conversation with this guy. And he's going, "Yeah, I do extra work for quite a lot of them. I do EastEnders, Coronation Street." I'm like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I'm on my wife's here." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." You know. Yeah, the director comes on and he goes, "Right, bring on the naked women." So all these naked women come on. I'm thinking, what have I signed up for? What am I doing? Right? Then they go, "Bring on the man with the bikini." So the bikini comes out. And this, swear to God, this is what happened next. They say, "Right, bring on the naked guy." The 40-year-old next to me undoes his robe, and it's all hanging. And my face is like, oh, I couldn't believe it. I honestly did not know that's what I signed up for. It had nowhere on their raunchy E4 series. So I've got a bloke stood next to me with everything hanging out. It's just chaos at this point. But me being me, I managed to salvage something from the event. And there was a rope separating the extras and the actors. And you know, everyone's too busy looking at the 40-year-old who's hanging his bits out. And they're all off in the woods probably smoking stuff. So I thought, well, I'm going to go over the rope and I'm going to pretend I'm an actor. So I go over. There's a reason I do this, because I go up to the actors and they go, "Who are you?" And I'm going, "Oh, I'm playing a character next week. I'm just coming to see what the show's all about." And they go, "Oh." So, you know, in this time I'm asking who your agent is, you know, how do you know it's legit, how do you know it's not, and they're giving me all this information. So anyway, get the bus home. I've got my clothes back now, it's all alright. I'm still recovering from the event. I get in the car and goes, "How does it go?" I said, "I need to go home and clean." It put me off acting for a little while, because I thought everything was going to be like that.
No.
So it worried me. I thought, if that's the industry, I don't want to be in it. So for a good 2 years, I then started emailing every casting director and agent online who was legit after all the information I got. But at the time, I applied for a job, which was probably the best job I've ever had. But I applied there, and it was out of 300 people. They narrowed it down to 50. And this is typical person with autism. They take things literally. They said, "Come smart dressed," right? So a lot of people would just go, "Well, smart dress, probably a suit, you know." Anyway, my smart dress isn't a suit. My smart dress is a checkered shirt and chinos, which I wore to work. You know, didn't go down well. So I turn up and there's 50 people and they're all in suits, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've not got this.
And then they get you to introduce yourself in front of 50 people, and you're like, oh my God. And then they got me to do an English test and a maths test, and they go, well, it's not about, don't worry about the result. And I thought, no, not worry about the result. I had to think who was reading that paper. And then you have the interview, and you're given like a scenario, like you're in a desert, and you've got 10 items, which one do you pick? And there's a part of me that just thinks, well, I'll just give up, to be honest. I'm in the desert. Just enjoy it, innit? Enjoy the weather and say goodbyes. But you can't really say that. So anyway, believe it or not, after that, I got the job. They were only meant to take one apprentice on that year, but they were really impressed with myself that they took 2 on. But the main reason it was because I took all the work experience work I did. I'd had 2 notebooks worth of IT work, so anytime I was like trying to explain something, they had the evidence there to actually go, oh, he actually can do it, he's just really bad at explaining himself. That really helped. So while I was at I had to do maths, functional skills level 2. Managed to get English level 2 alright. I passed the MVQ work, the IT work, fine, and a level 2 IT I done fine. But what I really struggled with was maths. I was terrible at it, to a vengeance. If I was your accountant, you'd be in the same situation as Gary Barlow was a few years back. I am terrible, absolutely terrible. So I had to take my maths 7 times until I passed it, so the 8th time I passed. And I always remember the phone call on the 7th, because I froze like mad on the 7th. I totally ruined that test. I'd be lucky if I got 2 right, I think. And they said, we're going to have to send you back to lessons because the last one was terrible. And I just went, no, give me one more shot. And they said, well, we would, but we're worried it's going to dishearten you. And I just said, I don't care how many times I'm going to take it, it won't dishearten me, I'm going to pass. So they said, well, only if you're sure. So I've done it again, and I've done it on the condition if I didn't pass, and I'll go back to lessons. And on the 8th time I've done it. And with that, I then won Apprentice of the Year for West Berkshire in 2016. And again, it's all persistence with me, because the year before I went for West Berkshire of the Year, I didn't get it. I went for Apprentice of the Year, and I didn't get it. And my mate got it, the apprentice that was also high, so I was like, all this is going on. I come home one day and I've got a email from Holby City, casting director. I started with the original actually. I originally got one for Casualty, and that was April the year before. And he said he'd shortlist me, I didn't hear anything, so I emailed him again near Christmas. I said, I'm still here, I'm still alive, if you need me. And with that, the woman at Holby emailed probably 3 months after Christmas and said, I've got an audition, love you to come down. That week was the biggest arguments in my house I've ever seen in my life, because I was having arguments with my mum. If you love me, you take me. My dad, don't speak to your mother like that. And it was just all backwards and forwards. And I've done the very thing that no charge should ever do, and that is ring Nan. So Nan got involved, and let's just say I managed to find a way down there. So I managed to find a way down there, because I think what it was with my mum was she didn't know how I'd handle it if I got a rejection. She wanted me to go, and she wanted to take me, but she was working. And she even admits now that she got that wrong. She should have just said, no, you really want to do it, I can see it really matters, or do it. But her biggest fear was, what am I going to do if I get that rejection? I'm so close, and then they suddenly go, no. But my thought process for the whole thing was, I'd rather know than not. I don't want to be asking what if all my life, what if I'd done that? So I went for it, I was shaking, I remember getting the script out in the room, I said, don't you shake now, you shake afterwards. And anyway, they said they wouldn't let me know till the following week, and anyway, 15 minutes after I left, they'd already emailed and said the part's yours. So it was a main part, it was 13 scenes I was in. But off the back of Holby, I then got an agent. Luckily enough, the woman who casted me, he said, right, you're going to need an agent now. So I got an agent, and with the back of that I went on to doctors. So I've been on doctors twice. Those have been both main partners as well. Now this is where it gets interesting, because at this point my old teacher, John Reed, who I do speeches with, he got in touch with me and he said, oh my God, I'm seeing all this stuff about you on Paul B and doctors, what's going on? So I got back in touch over Twitter, and about 2 weeks after, the National Autistic site was, they were advertising, they were casting for an autistic actor, and he said, you should go for it. And I went, alright, yeah, I will. So I went for it, and then I got part of their campaign, and now I do the ambassador work for the employment. So some of the work I've done up in employment is where I met Vanessa, lovely Vanessa, is I speak about employment, and I speak about things that we need to put in place to help people, how things are just at the moment should and not a must. And one of the things that we was able to accomplish was, instead of needing a level 2 functional skills qualification like I did, you only need a level 1. So we've lowered the qualifications for people to get into an apprenticeship, because I feel an apprenticeship is a really good opportunity for someone with a condition to get in. And I constantly work on improving the rate of people with autism in full-time work, because at the moment it's only 16%, and that hasn't changed for 10 years. So my work really is to increase that number and try and get it up in any way I can. If that's sharing my stories or going up and telling the MP sometimes what's what isn't. You know. So after that, so I've been on BBC Breakfast and spoke about autism. I've been on The Right Stuff, and I've also just done a mobility training video for Ford. So again, it's focusing on how to help customers who come in with autism for their company.
Well done, Ford.
Yeah.
The thing you don't think about.
No, exactly. You know, it's really, really helpful, because they said a lot of people, we focus on the physical side, but they don't know about the actual psychological and you know, and that side of it. So really good for them as well. So I worked for since moved on. That was a progress up in my role as IT. So I went from first line to second line. And I've just finished filming an advert for Santander as well to raise awareness for people with autism who go in to the bank. So kind of use the acting as well when I can to actually raise more awareness.